All right, so that's kind of pretty much all I have to say about the quiz here. So sorry also too for a second screencast, but hopefully this will get us caught up, and then as we move through, they can just be short little hellos and check-ins. So take the quiz by the end of this week, and you should be getting ready now for your first meeting, right? So your first session with your student, you're doing kind of a little more fun stuff, trying to hook the student in, remembering that you may be working with someone who's already a reluctant reader. They may not be that excited to start this process, so you want to let your student know that this is going to be something that is, both enjoyable and beneficial. So on that first day, we're not necessarily whipping out a bunch of assessments, but we do have a few things that we want to go through. So you're doing your inventories, you're doing your motivation analysis, you're going to want to do a writing screen. There's a couple of things that you want to do. So make sure that you go through, look at your checklist. The task lists that Dr. Glasswell has created are very, very, very detailed. So I see that she has done them in Word docs. So you may even want to print those out for yourself and make some highlights, make some notations to focus your own attention to what you should be paying attention to each week, right? So you've got now week 3 and you've got week 4 that you should be thinking about together, right? So we're in week 3. I've opened week 4 for you. So you really kind of want to take these two and start looking at them together. In terms of working with your student, you're getting ready to do Q analysis with the student. Some of you have said, I can't find the sheet that she references. And again, that's because I didn't have week 4 open. And that you might want a refresher on how to use that. So in week 4, you have the oral record resources that you need to do the initial assessment report, right? The IAR. So you can find the Q analysis chart here, and then you can find the scripts for the QRI. You want to also start thinking about word lists. So you probably should give the word list during that first session when you meet so that you're ready with copies of what you need to do your Q analysis. Let me go back, hold on one second. So that if you're looking for that sheet, the CSUF Clinic Q analysis sheet, that's where you can find it. I also stuck it down here. So a lot of these also seem to be the resources from Dr. Glasswell's 516. So there's a good, right here. So this video revision for word solving and MSV analysis. So on top of the resources that are in week 4, you will also find some of your word analysis stuff, your phoneme, your BPST, which gives you your phonics pieces, your directions for your BPST are there. And then these video links right here, when you go to these video links, oh, it's just gonna download. Let's see. You won't be able to see the whole thing if I open this. It's gonna be too big. Okay, you kind of see it. So you can find videos for how to do all of these things too, right? So you have lots of resources if you need a refresher on how to do that. Whoop, there we go. You can find them all in that resources section on the bottom, as well as the worksheet. I put the worksheet back in there, but the worksheet is also up here in week 4. All right, and that should be doing a Q analysis. It should be the same way that you learned from Dr. Gomez. So if there are more kind of specific things that you think are different between what you're hearing from Dr. Glasswell and what you're hearing from, or what you heard from Dr. Gomez, go ahead and shoot me an email and let me know what those are in particular. Even if when I listen to the resources, the amount of knowledge that I have about it probably just causes me to maybe miss those discrepancies, or I understand what both of them are saying. I went through the 516 site. I looked, I didn't see anything that, I didn't recognize. And so I don't necessarily see anything here also in 581 that I don't recognize. So if you have a specific question, go ahead and let me know, what that is. I will say I did go through an old 581 that Dr. Glasswell had given me a couple of years ago, so maybe like 3 years ago. And when I went on that site, I looked through her old task lists and I looked through some of the announcements she was sending out. And it did seem that weeks 3 and weeks 4, students were sending her lots of questions. So if you have lots of questions now, it may not necessarily be related to the fact that the class switchover has happened, but it may be part of the nature of, that you're getting ready to meet with students. You're trying to wrap your head around all of this stuff. And so kind of the best advice that I can give you is to keep sending me questions. You're not going to annoy me. So, like I said, there's so much here. There's so much here. And teaching this, I'm still teaching my regular course, my 508s with my new students, and new students have lots of questions. So it would just be really helpful that when you have that question, just shoot it in an email, send it to me. It'll focus my attention on where I need to go, what I need to ask about. I still can get Dr. Glasswell on the phone, so if I can't figure it out, she can help me. But the class is kind of second nature to her and not to me. I have never taught this one. I've taught 516 and I know how to do all of these things, but I teach the foundations and I teach the curriculum course. So that's generally where my mind is. This is not in my regular rotation. So it takes me a little bit to kind of figure out where we are and wrap my brain around it as well. Just like you, right? So you're doing it for the first time. So that should kind of catch us up, right? With week 3 and week 4. If you asked a question, I'm looking at my list here that I wrote down. I don't see anything I didn't mention. You want to make sure that you are looking at that IAR on top. It's right here. Let's see. Right? So take a look. Listen to the screencast if you have not, because that's going to remind you of and help you keep, in the front of your mind the types of analysis you're doing, the things that you're looking for, so that as you're doing these, you're taking notes that are helpful, because we all think we're going to remember stuff and we're not going to remember it. So write it down when you're done. Take notes as you go, right? So as you're talking to the student, as you're observing them, take, what we call field notes, take some anecdotal records, go ahead, because you're not going to necessarily remember that when it comes time to go and do that and put it in an assessment report or write it up more formally. So there was also a question about the time and the words. So if you've broken down your session into shorter sessions, so let's say like, you've got a student on the younger end, or you have a student that has, kind of severe attention issues, and you wanted to break down the 90-minute thing into you're meeting once a week for, you mean twice a week for 45 minutes, you're still just going to do the one work for that. So still consider that one session. The 45 minutes is one 90-minute session. I'm looking for you to analyze every kind of 90-minute segment or chunk that you spend with them. All right, so I hope this was helpful. I wish this situation was better, but we're going to make the best of it. You're going to have a good experience. This class is tough for everybody. And we're not going to make it, or I'm going to try as hard as I can not to make it any more difficult for you. So like I said, just keep sending those questions, keep asking things. She does mention a doodle poll. I am going to put that in there for week 4. I would like for us to meet on Zoom in what we call these learning circles if you want the opportunity to do that. If you feel like you're okay, you don't have to do it. It's not mandatory. The way that I'm planning to set them up will be I'll give you a couple days and times. You select the date and time that works for you. And then we'll just meet on Zoom. Plan for it to maybe be, 30 minutes to 30 minutes to an hour. And we can just use it to brainstorm, to answer questions, kind of, make sure that you're on track with where you want to be and where you need to be. So I will make sure that that's set up, and we will go ahead and do that. But again, if it's not something you're interested in, don't worry about it. You're good. It's not mandatory. So, all right, have a great week. Anything else comes up, please make sure you send it to me. And I'm sorry that I just talked at you for 25 minutes, but I hope that it was helpful.